You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We're just getting some of the technical things up and running. And we're here, voila. And I got a new haircut. Thanks to my brother, thank you very much. It's very refreshing. I really appreciate it. I appreciate him. And if it wasn't for him, I'd probably look like a Neanderthal. And I really appreciate that fact that I can kind of seem a little bit human. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk right here on Friday, May the 31st. It's the last day of May. We're going to be June already tomorrow. I can't believe how time flies, especially with our 4 seasons. It just seems like things, before you know it, spring's done, summer's over. Anyways, no, I don't want to get too pessimistic. We got some really great weather coming up for you for the weekend. We want to also let everyone know we're going to have a great interview today with Judy Strawn. We're going to be talking about CKLU's latest fundraiser. It sounds like a really fun one, and she'll be on in about 10 minutes. And also, we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca streaming. You just click on the Radio Player Canada app and you can stream us. You can also download that same Radio Player Canada app, take us with you, listen to us anywhere on any device that can play an app. And we're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. And so make sure to like, share, follow, all of those things on our social medias. We're not only on YouTube and Facebook, we are also on Twitter, now X, and Sudbury.news, our website. You can find us there anytime on demand. So if you can't catch the show live, you can catch us on demand on any of our social media. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, but mainly comment today. We'll do our best to get comments up on the screen, maybe during Judy's interview. Not sure if I'm able to moderate and listen and converse in a conversation and get your comments on. I'll try if you have any questions for her. But maybe after our interview, then we can maybe do some morning shout outs and a little bit of local headlines and a deep dive today. But let's dive right in with a little bit of weather, a lot of great weather news for you. We'll be back right after this. And then after that, we're going to have Judy Strawn on talking about CKLU's latest fundraiser. We'll be back. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. And Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently, it is 8 degrees out there. It's mainly sunny, and today you can expect sunny and high of 24. UV index will be 7 or high. Tonight, clear. Winds will be moderate, and the low will be plus 9, a little bit warmer than it's been. And to Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 26. And Sunday, cloudy. 22. It looked like we were going to have sun all the way through from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And just like I kind of expected, it's not going to be sunny anymore. And on that note, maybe later on today, Local Jerky Plus shared some reasons why maybe it's going to be cloudy when it was forecast to be sunny for 4 days in a row. But yeah, hopefully we have time for that. And then, but they are saying Monday when you're back to work, it'll be sunny. So that's a little bit of a consolation prize for everybody. And there's a look at your satellite and the reason why. You have this precipitation moving in from Thunder Bay in the west and coming towards us. So anyways, it's not as great as it was predicted to be a couple days ago, but that's fine. We move on. We stay positive. And speaking of positive, we have Judy Strawn waiting to come on. So we'll have her and talking about the latest CKLU fundraiser right after this. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great interview. You won't want to miss it. And we are back, and we do have Judy on. We did do a little test yesterday, so we're hoping everything is still working today, which I think it is. I think I can hear your volume. How are you doing this morning, Judy?
I'm doing very well. Very excited to be talking to you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think, it's coming in really, really clear. So we're glad to have you on. We were supposed to have a conversation yesterday, but we had some technical difficulties, which does happen with the particular software that I'm using to multiple people. So you're not alone. So now that we got you, there's lots to talk about. If people aren't familiar with, who you are, and you're involved in the arts community, you've written some really cool local plays and put them on, and they've been really great successes. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background. You also have your show on Eastlink, so feel free to plug it and do all those things for our audience.
I always say my show on Eastlink is the most fun I ever have. It's the easiest thing I ever do because they take me to cool places. I don't have to know a thing. I walk in and experience something new and do something crazy. I've done LARPing, I've done boxing, all kinds of things I would never normally have done, axe throwing, all of that. So I just show up. I can be as stupid as I want because I'm learning whatever it is. So it's all kinds of fun. So it's on Eastlink. Yes, and we're into our 8th year, I think.
Wow. And it's that's a great theme for a show. Just you're experiencing different things. And so instead of just interviewing somebody, you're actually kind of getting your hands dirty or getting involved in whatever they do, right? While you're interviewing them.
Absolutely. And the great thing is that I have no pride. Like I will try almost anything. You're not going to believe it. They had me pole dancing once. Now that is not a pretty sight, but I did.
And that was on the show? Like it was filmed and everything? Oh, interesting. Okay, well.
Let's move on from that. Embarrassing moments.
Okay, so a little bit of your background. Like you're heavily involved in the arts in the community, and anyone who's in the arts knows that. But let's just say for those who don't, tell us a little bit about how you got involved and what you're doing currently in the arts.
Well, my heaviest involvement in the arts, we won't go back too far, but my heaviest involvement probably started in 1985 when I was brought aboard the brand new performing arts program that had never before existed at Sudbury Secondary School. And a group of us were brought together to create this program. And so I was the head of the drama program for 13 years and did a number of quite huge shows there, huge musicals and Shakespeare and all kinds of other things. So that I really did, I grew personally a great deal through that. It's a wonderful program. This year it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. 40, and I was there as a pioneer. I mean, how wonderful is that?
It's great, actually. So that's basically, how you got into it and things like that. And then most recently, in more recent years, the things that you've been doing in the community in the arts.
So then what happened, the province opened a door and you could retire early. So who wouldn't jump if you could retire early? So I had no plan at all. 1 month into retirement, Sudbury Theatre Centre called me and said, "Oh, we hear you've retired. We'd like you to come over here for a while and do such and such. We'd like you to be in a show." They were doing Amadeus in September. Would you like a role in Amadeus? Then would you like to do marketing? Or would you like to do publicity? Or would you like to? And the next thing I knew, I was so heavily involved. I was there for 17 years, doing all kinds of things and creating programs and directing and writing and all kinds of things. So yeah, that took me till 2015. And then I thought, oh my goodness, when am I going to actually retire? I tried, but it didn't work. So I am still heavily involved in the arts. And the shows you're talking about with CKLU, that's been kind of fun. This is my 4th one.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, now we're going to change things up again. I'm going to be a very creative interviewer right now. So let's talk about the current thing that we're doing for CKLU, and then we're going to go back a bit and then talk about the previous fundraisers you've done for CKLU, and then we're going to come back again. It's going to be really, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe he was able to do that in an interview. So, so what's coming? It's coming this Saturday, which is tomorrow. This is the most recent fundraiser we have for CKLU. What are we doing this Saturday, tomorrow?
All right, we are going to focus on great storytelling. Now, I have to give you a little background. First of all theater, all film, everything is about storytelling. It's in our DNA. Our ancestors sat around fires. We still do sit around fires telling great stories. I became quite interested in storytelling during COVID because I was listening to wonderful podcasts. And I thought, why has Sudbury never done anything with live storytelling? And so it just kind of sat in my brain for a long time that we had never done anything. And finally, I got the courage to organize an evening of 9 great storytellers who are going to tell you personal stories of things that happened in their lives.
It's a great concept. I know that other cities have done it. I know somebody personally, maybe 15 years ago in the United States, that basically took it up in their community, and people come out and we do have word stock, which is it's similar, I guess you can say.
Well,
and that's
it's based on stories, but they bring in people who've written books,
kind
essentially.
of thing. Exactly.
And so you can be telling the story you've written, and it could be a fictional story. It's often a very fictional story. These are live and true stories that you tell about something that happened to you in your life. Now, if I said to you, what story would you choose out of your life? Now, we all have a story. We just need to find what your story is, and would you be willing to tell it? So that's what it's about.
And a lot of us, and some of them are very humorous. Like if you think of even some of the most, at the time, hard to go through things in life, they end up being sometimes spun as humorous. You look back and you're laughing, but meanwhile, the time you're going through it, it isn't so funny. But when you look back at it, you're like, that's hilarious. And you even laugh at it yourself, even though it was something maybe even tragic in your life.
Well, honestly, there is one story that really surprised me because I thought it was going to be complete comedy, because it's called The Pillsbury Dough Girls. Mm-hmm. And it's all about being in a women's washroom, like change room at the Y or a community pool, and everybody taking their bathing suits off. And I thought, well, this is funny. I mean, we can really relate to that. We've all been in that. And I thought it was going to be totally humorous. And then all of a sudden it reveals an entirely new level and experience of the person telling us the story. So things in this evening will sneak up on you, and you'll be absolutely amazed at some of them. And a lot of them are funny, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. So not only humor, but there's also other things as well. So it's probably the whole gamut of emotions, because stories are true events that happened in our lives, right? And so it's not all humor, although there is some humor in it. And speaking of storytelling, and that's what I could see why you're thinking these things. The plays that I'm aware that you've done in recent years, that you've written and put together and produced and put on, are Sudbury stories. They're stories about Sudbury, right? And can you explain some of the more recent ones that you've done?
Well, the first one I did for CKLU was called The Case of the Missing Mayor, an absolutely fascinating true story of 1895. He was called Mayor Bigger, the first Mayor Bigger, and he literally disappeared. They bombed Lake Ramsey to try to bring the body up. It was really interesting, and it went over so well. We did it as a staged radio play, and the house was just packed. And then I thought, okay, what's another story that we don't know all the answers to? And it's the case of the missing A.Y. Jackson, when in 1974, 2 A.Y. Jacksons were stolen from Sudbury High School, Sudbury Secondary School. So I wrote the whole mystery of that and actually solved the crime in the play, because I thought, well, now I have to solve the crime. So that was the next one. And then the following one was 2 years ago, and it was called Little Skidoo, It's Up to You. Mm-hmm. And everybody who grew up in Sudbury knew the song Little Skidoo, It's Up to You. So we created the entire play. We did part film, part stage play, part radio play. It was a year-long project to create that one. So this is the 4th CKLU fundraising production.
Amazing. Yeah, and I noticed there was a theme too with your Sudbury plays having to do with something going missing, either the person missing or the paintings are missing, and Santa almost went missing.
That's right. Absolutely.
If it wasn't for NORAD. But I'm sure it's just a coincidence, obviously. But you're very talented, and I don't know if you get that many opportunities to be interviewed because you're mainly the one doing the interviews on your show, and I don't know of too many opportunities that you do get. And I just wanted to say on behalf of the community how appreciative we are for your work, and it just adds to the fabric of, and it's educational too, to Sudburyans, right? Like knowing your history and even the Little Skidoo, like that's a song that was produced locally and had some nationwide.
It was wonderful. Every single performance, the audience would break into song and sing along with Jeff Paquette on stage. Can I tell you a few of the themes of the stories that you're going to hear Saturday night? Can I just
you best did your own segue there, because that's where we're coming back to this Saturday again. Yes, so go ahead.
So these 9 storytellers are all handpicked. Like, I didn't put an ad in the paper saying, do you have a story? I approached people that I knew had a good story and that also could get up and present it publicly. It's one thing to have a good story. It's another to be able to stand up in front of an audience with a mic in front of you and tell that story. So they're all kind of handpicked in this way. So giving you a sense of, like, Greg Tremblay has been part of every one of the productions I've done. Greg Tremblay is a filmmaker, a music person, and his story is going to be about meeting your idol. Now, have you ever met or tried to meet your idol? His story does not go exactly as he had anticipated. So there's one story, meeting your idol. Another story, Bill Sanders, who is well known to the community in many ways. He's an actor, a technician. He ran for mayor. Bill Sanders ran for mayor.
And a comedian too. Like he's doing stand-up comedy for a while. Yeah.
Well. And I can barely get anything out of him about his story. He said, well, we'll just call it Green Acres. I said, but you got to tell me more than Green Acres. He said, well, all right. There was a period of time that my father decided we should move out of town on a farm for 5 years, and we knew nothing about it. That's all I know. I cannot imagine.
What could go wrong with that scenario, right?
Then we have Kevin Kloss, and I think a lot of people know Kevin Kloss as a Northern Ontario, a really successful Northern Ontario musician. He's going to tell a story about the very first tour he took, age 19. You cannot imagine what went wrong. I am surprised that Kevin Kloss is alive today. So that's his story.
Wow.
Yes. Then we have a story about Steve Carey. I met at Eastlink. He was one of the nerdy guys that had this nerdy program, he and his friend Dave, for 8 years. He has a story of being at a garbage dump in Nicaragua. And all I know is part of the story, people are throwing garbage at them, whatever the altercation, whatever happened. I can't tell you any more than he's a great storyteller, and we're going to a Nicaraguan garbage dump in his story. Anna Barsanti, I asked her to tell the story. I said, Anna, please tell me the story of the phone call that changed your life. And she said, oh my gosh, that story. So she is going to tell about the phone call that changed her life. Shannon Aguissa, I taught her when she was at Sudbury Sec. She was 14 years old. And I said, what are you doing this weekend, Shannon? And she said, I'm going into the bush for 3 days by myself. What? I worried about her all weekend. She came back to school on Tuesday. I said, what was that like? And she said, it was fine. And that's all she would say. I contacted her a month ago. I said, could you tell that story? You never told me what happened. She said, I am ready to tell that story now.
Wow.
So,
Sounds like my teenage kids when you ask them something, they've gone through something huge and you say, well, how'd that go? Oh, fine. Or nothing. Oh, you know.
and our last storyteller, our ninth one, is Alex Tetro. He is well known in the Francophone community, the arts community. And I asked Alex to tell a story, knowing he is funny, he's great, and his story is going to center around a nosebleed. Oh, and there's one more.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Eamon. I don't know if you probably don't know him. I knew Michael Eamon from 25 years ago. He's a university professor by day. He's a stand-up comic by night. I contacted him. I said, what on earth nerve does it take to be superhero enough to stand up there and try to make people laugh? So his story is going to be stand-up comedy, not good for the self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And he is going to tell us about a particular situation, I guess. Maybe one with bombs, maybe one where he's being heckled. I don't know. So that gives you a little sense of the kinds of stories you can look forward to.
Oh, and people can relate. That's the thing. When you hear somebody giving a story, you're just people that you see in the grocery store or you hear on the radio or in the community or whatever, you can relate to their stories because they're from here and you know, they work around the corner or whatever, and then they've gone through this thing. A lot of times people will know the places they're talking about too, where they've gone through these things, and so you can really relate to them. Now, is it going to be filmed at all to live afterwards or not? This is just you come out and you hear it, and that's it.
And that's it. It's gone forever.
Wow.
And one of them, originally when I was kind of working out in my own brain, I thought, should we really be recording this? Should we play these stories later on CKLU? What should we do? And as I was bringing this group aboard, one of them said to me, are you going to be recording this? The subtext being, I hope you're not recording this.
Yeah.
And I said, I guess maybe not, because that person is actually not going to tell the story if all of a sudden it's somewhere else and there's no control over your story. So this is a one-off. You get it on Saturday night or you never get it again.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's a good selling feature for sure. Like, this is it. You won't be able to catch it later anywhere. So you said Saturday night. So what time does it start?
It starts at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And it's on at Indie Cinema. We're live at Indie Cinema. It's not on film. There are live people there. Indie Cinema is right up from the Sudbury Public Library on Mackenzie Street. A lot of people don't know where it is. It's across from Sudbury Secondary. It's up from the library. So Indie Cinema, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Our host MC is Peter Williams, and a lot of people know Peter from CBC Radio and CTV. So he's our guest host. Our keyboard player is Tony Simkin, the amazing jazz keyboard player, so he'll be filling in. It's all improvised, so we have people aboard who are simply ready to go with the flow, and if you're there, you will experience it one time only, and you will have been there.
Now, what's the capacity for the Sudbury Indie Cinemas? Like, how many people can we get into the room?
168.
Nice. So that would be a success. We can fill her up. Now, have tickets been available? Like, how do people get the tickets?
You've got 3 ways right now. Go to cklu.ca and just click on purchase your ticket.
Cool.
Go to Jet Landry Music on LaSalle Boulevard, or we have some at the door. We are actually holding some at the door. So there you go. You've got 3 ways. People who want to pay in cash and have a physical ticket, go to Jet Landry. If you're okay to book online, go to cklu.ca. And here's something that really surprised me. 4 people said to me, I really want to support the cause. I can't go. I am now going to purchase 2 tickets and you can pass them on to somebody else. So I have been able to pass on those people's tickets to people who wouldn't otherwise maybe be able to go. So isn't that cool?
Always cool when you see things like that. And it's really, Yeah, and that's one great way to support the CKLU. A lot of people just donate, on our website. Just click the donate button because they believe in what we do. And there's a lot of people in the community that do. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here, right? So this is a great way to not only just give your money to donate, but actually give someone an opportunity to get out and have a really great time and hear some really great stories. And so you're doing two great things. You're supporting CKLU and you're supporting somebody for getting out and having an evening they wouldn't normally have been able to have. So it's really great. And I would encourage anyone who has the means to do that. Now, how much are the tickets?
The tickets are $25, so straight 25 at Jet Landry or at the door. There's always, when you go to, there's always a little extra cost, 27 something, because when you do it online, there's a company that's handling all that. So it's always costs a couple of dollars extra, but it's well worth it. Sometimes people say, I want that ticket in hand. I want to walk in. I don't want to worry. Gee, did they run out at the door? No, don't, they just want to have the ticket and walk in. So for $2 extra, you can have your electronic ticket from CKLU and feel secure. I also just want to throw in, most of the time we don't even think about how you're on the air and all these other programs are on the air. People think that Laurentian University supplies money for this to happen. Mm-hmm. It does not. There is no money coming except what we raise. There you go.
I know it is true. And I do mention that it's supported by the community. And I just don't go as far as to say we don't receive any other money. And just to make that clear, right? But if it wasn't for people in the community supporting CKLU, we wouldn't be able to be here. And it really is. Somebody even commented here. It's an important thing. So Bob says CKLU is so important in free speech. It's sadly dying right now. Where someone on the community can just come on and have a show like this, or whatever talent or skills you have, be able to just get on and share that with others each and every day or once a week or whatever it is. It's a really neat thing. And we're the only one in Northeast Ontario, I believe, that are doing this. So it's really important. And we've been around since 1984. I mean, you don't want to stop it now.
No, not at all. And it's harder than ever to keep things going, I think, in this day and age, because everybody needs so much financial support. Everybody's out there fundraising. So it's harder than ever. So we have to be strong and march forward and keep it going.
It is. And Judy, you're doing such a good job to be able to do that. And we appreciate you. The community appreciates you.
Thank you.
And continue to do whatever you're doing, because you're doing a great job. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I hope your listeners will come up and say hello on Saturday night and say that they support you, and that's why they're there. So
okay, well there you go. That's a way of seeing, how well, it's like we're gonna have a business sponsoring our weather coming up, and he says, yeah, so I'll know it's working if people say, oh, I heard about you on the show. So it's a good, a litmus test to see how many listeners we have and how effective it is, but. We do get people just out of, like Rob emailed me or texted me the other day and said, yeah, we get phone calls and just say, yeah, I listen to the show and we really appreciate it and things like that. He goes, you have the most anonymous listeners that I've ever seen. They usually never leave their name or what, but
It's the truth. And you hear from such a small percentage. And someone just last week said to me, we're walking along the street, he says, my brother was telling me he was listening to your program the other day, and he starts commenting on your program. So he tells his brother, who's telling me he's listening to your program. And so, but you never know that. No,
exactly. And it's really great to just know that even if there's if there was one person listening, you feel it's fine kind of thing. And we do this because we love the community we live in, is really what it boils down to. There's not, we're not getting paid for it, but we're being paid in different ways because it really does contribute to the fabric of our community, and it's totally worth it. And I think the more people that do that, it just makes the community more vibrant. The more that people get involved. So, yeah, hopefully we have a great turnout on. Yeah, and hopefully we have a great turnout on Saturday. We got room for 168, so. It's going to be a great time. So get out there and support CKLU and have a great time. And if you can't go, you can still support someone else to go. Thanks, Judy. Thank you very much, Judy, for being on today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Okay, well, have a great day, and we'll see you soon tomorrow night at Sudbury Indie Cinemas. What's the name of the event again, just so everyone knows?
This is my story. I swear it's true.
You know, I always want to hear, and I'm sticking to it. And I swear it's true. Okay, thanks, Judy. Have a great Friday, great weekend, and success tomorrow night. Okay, ciao.
Ciao.
So that's Judy Strawn. She's a mover and a shaker here in the city of Greater Sudbury. I'm really glad she was able to come on today. We had a really great interview. I hope you enjoyed it too. And really, honestly, if you're able to get out there, what an interesting time it's going to be, right? We've seen fundraisers all of our lives for different things, and this is just definitely going to be one of a kind, right? So thanks, Judy. And I hope she comes on and watches the on demand here so she can see some of these comments, some of the love that people are putting out there for her. And with that, morning, Vin. Thanks for being with us. And Belinda, good morning. The sky is not the limit. Your mind is. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. That is true, Belinda. Thank you so much. That's what we do every day here. We try different things live on the air. And same with Judy's TV show. She tries something new every single time she goes out to interview somebody. And it really does keep you younger. Maybe not young, but younger. Keeps your brain going for sure. Jerome, good morning. TGIF for sure. It is Friday. It is great, even though the weather's not going to be as great as we originally thought. We might have some insight into that. Sheila, good morning. Smiley emoji. Judy, good morning to you as well. David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. Liette, good morning. Everyone from Collingwood, good morning to Marianne as well from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. And good morning, Monique. Grand Rising Canadians. Couple sunshine emoji and a heart emoji. Much appreciated there with the emojis. Brian is on. Good morning, Patriots. Good morning to you, Brian, and Mona as well. Good morning, everyone. Smiley emoji, heart emoji, and some thank yous to Judy for being on. And what a great interview. Okay, so we wanted to get into a little bit back to the weather, I guess. And Local Jerky Plus is a local business here in town, and we've talked about them before in terms of weather. It's our Climate Change Friday edition on the show. We talk about climate change, weather, everything to do about that. It's in the news a lot. People talk about it quite a bit, but on mainstream news, it's kind of, you just hear one kind of flavor of it. The fact that it's really bad. We should be alarmed. We should totally drastically do things and allow our government to make total changes to our freedoms and tax us in order to impact the climate. Now, is that, entirely, true? Is what we're hearing all the time, just what it is? Can we rely on that as information that we can trust, right? So let me just get the, there we go, local business. So they shared a picture yesterday, and I was driving last night and I noticed the exact same thing. I knew that we were supposed to get some really nice weather coming. 4 days were forecast to be of, amazing weather for the next 4 days, sunny and warm. And I was like, really? Are we going to get that? Because so many things usually, prevent that from happening. And we talked about weather modification yesterday, that it's not a conspiracy theory that we can modify weather. So if you want to go back and watch yesterday's show, we, shine some light on that. So if you look at here, Local Jerky Plus shared a picture of what it looked like when the sun was going down yesterday. It looks like fingers coming out of the horizon with the sun setting, right? But what are those fingers in the sky? Well, they're jet trails made from jets, the exhaust in the air. Some call them contrails, but the term that I think is getting more and more evident what's going on, and it's weather modification. It's chemtrails, right? So another viewer or whatever, somebody in the chat shared their picture. So we have a bunch of pictures of what was going on yesterday as the evening was going on, and you can see. So if you weren't paying attention and you're just going to the grocery store, let's say, and you were to look up, you'd think, oh, it's getting cloudy out there. Just your subconscious mind would kind of like, oh, there's clouds, you know. But those aren't clouds. There's actually not one cloud, natural cloud in the sky in this picture. They're all jet trails. They're all exhaust from planes. And some may say, oh, that's normal. That's been around forever. We've always done that. I remember as a kid, jets, just when they fly by, they leave that. Well, then we'd never have one sunny day, not even one, because there'd always be jets. Why is it certain times there's millions of jets going by over our skies and sometimes there's not? If it doesn't always happen with all jets. You know what I mean? Just some. And whenever it happens, it happens. It's not even consistent. But it's getting more and more out there. We're getting more and more of them, much to my chagrin. Let's just see. There was some more pictures were shared as my internet is extremely slow here. So here's another person's picture just to show this isn't just one-off picture or whatever. And you should be aware when you're outside, when it's a sunny day, look up. And why are they all crisscrossed like that? They're usually crisscrossed in the sky. And it just makes you wonder what's going on with weather. And we know that people are, there's programs out there, and it's to modify the weather. More currently, they're saying that it's to dim the sun because it's getting too warm out there, that scientists in the world have gotten together and said, hey, and these are all Sudbury pictures. These aren't just photoshopped or whatever. These are pictures just from yesterday kind of thing. And I don't know if you're like my wife, who just, it bugs her all the time. Every time it happens, I'm like, look what's going on. She's like, I know, you keep saying it over and over. It's not going to change. You keep getting kind of frustrated with it, right? So yeah, exactly. Same thing, Trump. So I think you sent me that picture. It's the same thing. So, and then I went this morning looking on Local Jerky Plus, and then there was a bunch of people sending pictures. So it's the same thing. So Jerome sent a picture of the exact same thing of what was going on last night here. But again, that's pretty much it happens all the time now. It's not just last night. It's an everyday thing pretty much. Belinda's saying Trudeau declared we are in fire season. Wonder who he's has lined up to start them. I shared something also on my Facebook feed about all of the fires being started in Alberta alone, right? So if they're in Alberta, they're also happening around the country in other provinces as well. And I know Justin Trudeau made a joke when he was visiting the United States about, he's getting onto his climate change soapbox, and like he will usually do when he, chastises everyone for their climate positions. But he said, we apologize for, we'll try and keep the smoke down this year kind of thing. And it was a joke and people were laughing. And he said, actually, it's not a laughing matter, kind of thing. So I think here you go. So let's get this queued up. This is
check out this great article from the
Alberta News and Views. We'll just introduce him properly. He's talking about the articles that are coming out about arsons. They were found last year, but you won't hear this on mainstream news at all. But here is mainstream news, somebody reading the article, right? So Here you go, Alberta News and Views.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. Check out this great article from the Calgary Sun. Humans responsible for more than 75% of Alberta wildfires this season. Quote, at this time last year, Alberta had over 520,000 hectares of forest burned, whereas so far in 2024, we have just under 29,000 hectares burned. And yes, it is still raining all across Alberta. This Liberal NDP government loves to say that Canada is burning. Now, I really wanted to show you this because Justin Trudeau was saying this, and it is infuriating.
He has a better plan. Let him say it, because we've been waiting a long time for it. But he has no plan to fight climate change. He still questions whether it exists while Canada is burning.
Canada is not burning, and this Liberal NDP party is just foaming at the mouth, hoping that it is worse than last year. They are literally a political party that wants chaos, so all of their agendas can feed off of it. This is a party that feeds off of chaos, division, and smear and fear. And I really, really hope that all of you people out there listening realize this. This is their strategy now because it's all they have left. You can do a simple Google search. How many human-caused fires in Alberta in 2023? Just focus on Alberta. And all these articles say the same thing. And it's Trudeau Media Corp and beyond. But it's all the same thing. 60% human-caused. Wildfires in Alberta burned 10 times more in 2023. It just goes on and on. Over 75% of Alberta wildfires are human-caused.
So that's for all your people that you'll tell this to, and they say you're a conspiracy theorist for saying that. Obviously, it's the climate change. People aren't starting the fires. Just tell them, like he said, just Google it. 75% of the fires from 2023 were human-caused. Right? So you don't hear that on CBC, on the radio here, or, mainstream media, or the people in the office. They're not saying that. They're saying the opposite. Oh, climate change causing all the fires. Where are we getting that from? Why aren't we actually talking about real stuff, right?
Do not believe this government. It is unbelievable. From the National Post, this is May 23rd, 2024. Ontario is paying dearly for falling for Trudeau's free childcare money. The reason I'm showing you this is all of the provinces had all of these programs set in place that Trudeau is getting rid of and claiming as his own because he has nothing. So that is what this government is doing, the Liberal NDP government. They're stealing programs that already existed in provinces and rebranding them as their own and better and blah, blah, blah.
And that is a whole other story in and of itself. You know, all the programs that people say, oh, well, Justin Trudeau is, he's fighting for people that are marginalized with the dental program and all these school lunch programs and things like that. Those programs already exist in provinces. Like I just watched Daniel Smith, who's the premier of Alberta, talking about they've already had a lunch school program. A lunch school program. Yeah, exactly. And it's a success. And they don't need the federal government coming in and doing anything because it's already a success. So they're taking things and taking credit for it. And then they're giving money and they're doing it. And then she also showed how theirs is a success. But when the federal government gets involved, things don't work and they never have enough money for the programs and things like that. So crazy stuff going on there. But at the same time, I want to stick, we're going down the road. We just we still have a big conference here going on about EVs. We're going down the EV road. We're not going to focus on hybrids. We're going all the way to electric vehicles. And, we don't have the infrastructure to even handle that, but that's where we're going. And good morning, Diane. Thanks for being with us. Bon matin. We just want to give shout outs as people come on, but sticking with that. Yeah. So we have this electric vehicle obsession. That's where we're going. And when you just hear people talking about common sense, this climate nexus discussion channel that I found, they really are able to kind of put it the way that it needs to be. And so here you go. We'll be back right after this as part of our climate change edition.
This is a slogan for the EV transition. we're not going. It about sums it up. There's a lot to say here, including about the Canadian government believing that EV batteries are the industry of the future, apart from the bit where nobody wants to build them, so the government needs to subsidize the whole process, and nobody wants to buy them, so the government needs to pass laws that force you to. We're now billions of dollars into the latest industrial strategy debacle, and there's worse to come. But for now, we want to focus on just one aspect of the story, Hertz's catastrophic bet on electric cars. For the Climate Discussion Nexus, I'm John Robson, and this is a CDN crystal ball check on the can't-miss bet that re-bankrupted an auto rental giant.
The Hertz Corporation was an innovative entrepreneurial success for nearly a century after its 1918 founding. It pioneered the rental car charge card in 1926, opened the first airport rental location in 1932, and had the first one-way rental option in 1933. In its glory days, it was such an American icon that its chief rival Avis adopted the slogan, "We try harder." And they didn't need to say, "Then who?" Everyone just knew they were talking about Hertz. But by the 21st century, it had drifted into sluggish management and dubious customer service before being bankrupted by the collapse of business travel during the COVID pandemic.
Still, good old American enterprise to the rescue, right? Two venture capitalists, Tom Wagner and Greg O'Hara, bought the firm in a fire sale bankruptcy auction, threw a lavish Manhattan party at a trendy club with trendy music, and did what all the trendy rich people were doing. They bet the house on EVs.
Hertz's new owners decided to scrap Hertz's fleet of gas-powered rental cars and go all in on the electric kind. As Bloomberg reported, the company announced an unprecedented order for 100,000 Teslas and struck an exclusive deal to supply EVs to Uber drivers. It planned to build out a national and eventually global charging network at Hertz's thousands of locations, with ambitions to become the service manager for the autonomous driving era. They also hired celebrity NFL star Tom Brady to quarterback their new ad campaign. The market loved it. Investors rewarded their brilliance and vision with a massive run-up in the stock price. By November 2021, Hertz's market valuation was $15.3 billion, 3 times what Wagner and O'Hara had paid just 5 months earlier.
What could go wrong? Well, what if EVs were a bubble? So fast forward to April 2024, and according to Bloomberg, the picture looks very different.
By early 2024, it was clear the massive bet on electrification was a catastrophe. Musk had slashed Tesla's prices by as much as 30%, sending the value of Hertz's EVs plummeting. Wagner and O'Hara's plan was filled with countless other miscalculations that only deepened the wound. All that talk of a radical makeover for a tired industry has gone silent, and the company is now doubling down on gas guzzlers.
Now, gas guzzlers is an unfair term for modern internal combustion engine vehicles, which are miracles of efficiency and ecology compared to their 1970s predecessors. Following the introduction of catalytic converters and decades of engine design improvements, new cars today release less than 1% of the tailpipe emissions per mile that new cars did in the 1960s. Which is why, even with lots more cars on the road, vehicle-related air pollution levels like carbon monoxide have fallen dramatically. And, crucially, car companies want to keep making them, and consumers want to keep buying them, unlike EVs. People don't want to buy those, and as Hertz discovered the hard way, they don't want to rent them either.
Hertz's EV bet was a dud with customers. And not just because Hertz seems to have ongoing management and customer relations problems. They also turned out to be costlier to maintain than the company expected, making them a financial dud as well.
Elon Musk and his Tesla Corporation were very trendy back when he seemed to be an eccentric atheist, smoking a joint on the Joe Rogan podcast and flaunting a distinctly non-traditional family consisting of 11 children by 3 different women, one of whom he married and divorced twice. He also went in for groovy, high-tech sounding names for his kids, for instance naming one of them XAEX-XII. After he bought Twitter in the name of free speech, his star faded on the left, just around the time all the rich people wanting to buy a Tesla appear to have done so, at which point sales began to stall. So, while he has a remarkable gift for entrepreneurship, especially where subsidies are involved, and for self-promotion, his core business does seem to be in trouble. Tesla shares are down about 2/3 compared to their late 2022 peak, and they're down by half just since mid-2023. In April 2024, Tesla announced it was laying off 10% of its employees. The slowdown in sales, even with massive government subsidies to consumers, has finally become noticeable even to the trendy Wall Street people.
As Statista put it, Tesla's deliveries fell short of Wall Street expectations in the first quarter of 2024, as the company delivered 386,810 vehicles worldwide versus expectations in the range of 450,000. The latest figure not only marks a significant drop from the 484,507 vehicles delivered in Q4 2023, but more concerningly for investors, it also marks the first year-over-year decline in deliveries since the second quarter of 2020, when production was severely disrupted by COVID lockdowns.
And it's not just Tesla. Trendy Apple killed its trendy electric car after a decade of effort and billions in research that never saw a single vehicle reach even a showroom. And we now see a cascade of headlines like, quote, Ford delaying rollout of new electric pickup truck SUV, end quote, and, quote, demand for electric cars slows sharply as customers revert to petrol, end quote, and Mercedes-Benz ditches plans to sell only EVs by 2030, and even, quote, owning an electric vehicle is madness and I regret ever buying one, end quote. Enthusiasts like Heatmap Daily still see a story of glorious triumph. Editor Robinson Mayer claims, quote,
America's most interesting electric vehicle company is about to have the defining year of its life. On Wednesday, the company reported that it lost $1.58 billion in the fourth quarter of last year, bringing its net annual losses to $5.4 billion. It announced that it is laying off about 10% of its salaried employees, but at the same time promised that it has a plan to achieve a small profit by the end of this year.
Yeah, and the Canadian government had a plan to balance the budget after 3 small deficits. But that wasn't Tesla that Mayer was talking about, though interestingly, he also cites Tesla as a beacon.
It's a frightening time, but once a company crosses the valley of death, it can reach an idol. Not so long ago, Tesla found itself in something like Rivian's position as it prepared to launch the Model 3. 7 years later, it is the most valuable automaker in the world.
Yes, but sustained by what? Not, apparently, customer demand. It turns out, once again, that governments didn't know better than consumers how each household should spend its money. When's the last time something like that happened? Oh, yeah, the compact fluorescent bulb they mandated that was ugly and so toxic that if you broke one, you had to evacuate your family and your pets from the house. And frankly, if we were to list everything governments have gotten badly wrong in the economy, we'd be here all night. And the story gets worse. We also see headlines like, quote, China's EV growth set to explode in 2024, end quote. Chinese electric cars are continuing to invade the market like the People's Liberation Army hopes to do to Taiwan in a vast, opaque, government-backed enterprise designed to undermine the West and give Beijing control of world affairs on the back of an ecologically catastrophic industry.
As Yahoo News put it, China is dominant in the global EV sector, accounting for 69% of all new EV sales in December, and continued growth is on the cards. The country has also advanced its EV penetration targets, aiming for 45% market share by 2027, an increase from the originally planned 40% by 2030.
Okay, does it prove they're the vehicle of the future if only capitalism were as nimble and farsighted as communism? Heck no. Some Chinese firms actually lose as much as $10,000 per car sold in the West. But it's a lot worse than just another state-sponsored bubble. They think no sum is too high to conquer us. And by passing laws forcing Western consumers to buy EVs, our own governments are creating yet another opportunity for communist China to take over a key sector of our economy, and in the process wasting billions of dollars of our money subsidizing their long march, or long drive in this case. We should all take a lesson from Hertz. Yes, it was a private sector debacle, and yes, we've seen private sector investment bubbles before. But this one was fueled by public sector hype, elite credulity, and a rickety system of subsidies that could not make up in quantity for what it lacked in quality. For the Climate Discussion Nexus, I'm John Robson, and that's our CDA and crystal ball check on the capacity of investors, projectors, and politicians to detect a magical surge in demand for cars that actual people don't want.
All right. I really appreciate some sound logic when it comes to this discussion. And I really appreciate the opportunity to at least designate one day every week to discussing this stuff and things you'll never hear on mainstream, because they can't say stuff like this because they're told they can't, even if they believe that, which I don't even believe they do. But it is what it is. So, but at least we're able to do that here. And that's why it's so important on CKLU to keep it going, so that way we can at least have a voice and be able to share information that you wouldn't hear anywhere else, where we really try and get to the bottom of things and connect dots that you wouldn't normally be able to do. So thanks for being on today, everyone. It is Friday. I hope everyone's going to have a great weekend. There's another event going on, by the way. I just wanted to let everyone know about it here. It's Goodwill Drive. It's going from 10 till, so here you go. So the National Range Day, June the 1st, which is tomorrow, Crane Hill will be hosting the open to the public event. If you're interested to try some of our activities, 10 to 2, Saturday, June the 1st, which is tomorrow. Come and try our property ranges and watch the demonstrations of various disciplines: 22 Precision, International Practical Shooting Confederation, Police Patrol Combat, Black Powder. So the admission is free. There will be a barbecue, and the event is open to everyone, and it is family friendly. It's proudly sponsored by the local Canadian Tire Stores, Nickel Belt Camping, Sudbury Hyundai, Dowling Value Mart, and Diesel Repairs, Inc. So the 104 Gun Club Road, Worthington, about 20 minutes past Naughton. So a license is not required to attend the event, and you can go to nationalrangeday.ca, and hopefully they have that information there as well. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow, before you go to the storytelling event that we're having as a fundraiser for CKLU, you can do this in the morning, afternoon, and then go to the evening fundraiser. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM, and we'll be back same time, same place, Monday. So make sure to like, share, take care, and ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.